Mark and Joey here with the Ultimate Sports Channel, ultimatesportschannel.com on the web. We encourage you to head over there and see a daily feed, 50 new posts every day, Joey, about sports, as well as looking at our sponsors and a lot of good things on the site. We do encourage you. We don't put up too many commercials here, but we appreciate if you go over there and take a look at our sponsors. We do negotiate deals for you with everybody we talk to, so some good stuff for you to get there. Anyway, Joey, let's get into it now. We just did our NFL, which has been taking up every week since the playoffs started. There are stories and there are other sports happening, if you can imagine. And we're going to talk about a few of those. We're going to start to get into it after we get through the NFL. Obviously, that's been the main focus of everything. And the other leagues are just kind of in mid-season. But let's talk about one of the biggest sports stories in the history of sports. Houston Astros, Joey. Like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, so I've written down the exact thing here, what happened. Okay, so they were caught stealing signs, and they got down the biggest penalty, I think, in sports. And I definitely in baseball, they've already talked about it's historic. I really like to see the World Series taken away from them. You can't give it to anybody, but I think they shouldn't even keep it. It was pretty bad, guys. I mean, they really won the World Series, but stealing sign, I mean, it was so bad. And it was obvious. Pitchers called them out for it. They started investigating it. They finally got him here. It required the GM and manager to be fired, $5 million fine, first and second round picks of the next 2 years to be gone. And then, side note, Alex Cora, who is part of that coaching staff, is now the manager of Boston, was just fired today as being part of the scandal there. I think of golf, and I think of someone like Patrick Reed, who gets chastised because he touched sand.
Yeah.
Here's a whole organization. And
they planned it, by the way.
They planned it.
I mean, he was in a bad spot and made a mistake, but they planned it.
They planned this. The players had to know, and the players didn't come out about it.
Of course
They all signed massive contracts because of it. And now this happens. This is pretty disgusting as far as I'm concerned. This is bad for sports, and this is bad for baseball, and very, very disappointing. I think this should affect all their careers as far as, Hall of Fame goes, stuff like that. They should be watched this year. If they have a good season, then maybe they're just talented. But this is bad. And it took away a potential World Series from the LA Dodgers, which would have been mega, mega history out there in LA. So, I'm disappointed as a sports fan to have this happen.
Joey, honest to God, you guys are all taking this way too seriously. Let's see. New England Patriots have been caught cheating 6 times, but because of the New England Patriots in the NFL, they just got slaps on the wrist, 4-game suspension for Brady deflating balls. They had cameras on the sidelines of one of the teams. Like, really? This is insane. I get it. It's a break of the rules. It's bad. All this kind of stuff. They did plan it. Guess what? They're smart enough to plan it. I go back to, in hockey, to one of the most famous coaches of all time, who left his goalie stick on the goal line when he pulled the goalie. Because guess what? Guess what? There was no rule against it. Is there a rule about stealing signs? No. Teams have been stealing signs. Not as obvious as this, I'll give it to you. Forever. Have you ever guys seen the guy standing on second base giving the signal to the batter?
That's different.
Are you kidding me? Stealing signs has been part of the game. I get it that they took it to the internet levels of where we are today. It's a complete overreaction. Smart team here. They figured out how to make it happen. That's the way it is. Again, I go back New England Patriots. If they were not the country's darlings for these many years, they should have lost 4 of the Super Bowls they have because they cheated every single year. Bill Belichick spent his career figuring out how to cheat people. Every sport other than golf, where golfers call penalty strokes on themselves and you've had to do it, every sport tries to cheat. Every single sport. Just chill out here. Guess what? They're smarter than the other guys. They won a major. They put a rule in. Stop it in the future. But
there is a rule there.
What rule?
There's a rule. You can't have video cameras and people in the stands with binoculars. It's in the rules of the MLB.
Well, you're going to have to show it to me because I have not
found it. And by the way, New England was punished for all their times, and they never got caught cheating for the Super Bowl specifically before that.
You sound like a Brady. You're like a freaking Brady fan.
Actually, I hate.
They cheated.
Yeah,
and
I
they
agree.
should have never got where they got.
Agree.
If you want to use this as your example,
good.
Why is Bill Belichick not fired? Why is Brady not suspended for life?
He was suspended.
If you want to suspend him for life, look, these guys are losing their whole career.
Yeah, the coaches and the GMs, not the players.
Great, but
Tom Brady
because they can't prove it on a player right now. Why is Bill Belichick not suspended?
He should be
for his life.
Yeah, he should be.
But what does everybody talk about? Bill Belichick's the greatest coach ever because he does everything it takes to win, and he's cheated 4 times. Come on, chill out. They came up with it. No one caught them during the act. During the act, every other sport You got to call it while it's happening.
They did,
but they
and
didn't.
they investigated it while it was
guess
happening.
What? They won, and they never got stopped during that winning streak. So guess what happened? It is the way it is. Suspend them if you want to. Change the rule book if you want to. Whatever. The sport wasn't smart enough to catch them. They're like every team sport. You know what? Every sport in other than golf extends every opportunity they have to bend and break rules. That's just the way it is. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what sport you're in. That happens. You know what? Take what you got to take. This is a huge, massive overreaction to what happened in the game, and they didn't catch it during it happening. They didn't call the rules. Well, guess what? You win the World Series. Great. It's done. It was stupid overreaction. You guys all getting the rest of their careers. If they don't go, if you commit murder. Guess what? If people help you commit murder, you get charged too. So why are the players not? These players went along with this. They won a World Series because of it. Joey's telling you they got big contracts because of it. They are culprits in this supposed crime with the way they've treated it. Every one of the players on that team who you know, when you go back to Chicago White Sox,
because you're missing something very important.
Go back to Chicago White Sox.
It's going to defeat your whole purpose.
The eight guys who went with batters and threw the World Series. Hey, you can treat them like that then if you want to, because they all did the same thing.
The MLB didn't do anything to those people. They were fired from their owners only. The MLB didn't tell them to fire them, didn't say anything. The MLB does not care if they all get another jobs. That wasn't the point. So the point you're making about these guys lose jobs was only because the owner wanted to clear the slate. Like, you're up here like, the MLB forced these guys all to be fired.
Oh,
like,
are you kidding? You're naive that management doesn't run everything. The MLB called these guys said, we want this to happen.
I'm sure.
They do. They run it. Are you kidding?
No, they didn't. All MLB cares about is punishing the team. They don't care about those guys. The owner fired them, and the owner of Boston fired the manager. Smartly, by the way. I want to give credit to the Houston owner. What's the best way to do? Get rid of it and move on. And they're going to move on. It's going to be fine by next year.
You don't realize that the league runs
the
these
picks
teams,
and money
and
are
the
same as suspension. The picks and money, same suspension as the 4 draft picks New England lost, the 4 games Brady was suspended. It's actually not that big a deal. I'm saying I'm disappointed that every time, and I get it, it happens in every sport that they extend the rules. I'm actually happy that MLB is trying to be better than other sports. I think it's just sad for sports that all this happens all the time. More importantly, as a bettor, I think it's pissing me off a little bit.
Well, me too.
But at the end of the day, you talk about us overreacting. Listen to you overreact. I'm just saying I think it's a good punishment. They're losing some draft picks, which in baseball, by the way, they have 4 drafts, and they lost.
So again, they did nothing about
in other drafts. They got a $5 million fine, which is a hefty fine to most people. To the owner, I can't believe it means anything to him because he's a billionaire. And then again, what was the other one? They lose their picks and they were fined. Yeah. So I mean, what's the big deal? And they'll live with an asterisk. Outside New England, people think New England lives with an asterisk the next couple of their Super Bowls, especially when you beat Indianapolis with the deflated balls. And you got now the only thing is they re-pumped the balls and you put up 30 points in the second half.
But
you
here
talk
we
about
go.
overreacting. This guy just won a huge rant for 30 minutes about something I didn't even say or talk about. I just said I really like the punishment. I like that baseball is trying to be better than other sports because even though every sport does this, doesn't mean you can't be the first to say we're going to do our best to make it fair and not have this happen. They put in a rule, just like you said. In fact, the rule was there. They had pitchers throughout the season. They had the pitchers throughout the season. Call the MLB and tell them they were cheating. They investigated the whole season. Didn't get anything done before the season was over with, and now they get it done. You talk about calling them out. Every player called them out. The MLB didn't lay down punishment, unfortunately, until 2 years later. They did everything you said they should do. And the firing of the people is smart by the owner because everything these days is what? It's about your public image. People will forget now. All the people involved in this, besides the players, which people don't seem to care because they're fans of the players, they buy their jerseys, they still had a good year this year, whatever. Besides the players, he fired everyone that was involved that is easily expendable.
Joey,
period.
The MLB office called them, told them to get rid of these guys.
Whatever.
This was a simple decision.
Cry me a river. He's going to get paid $10 million.
Coaches don't do shit. And this is from a sport that is reacting because they allowed the whole steroids issue to happen for many, many years. Did not throw out players they knew were taking steroids, which is totally against the rules. So this is just an overreaction for past inaction by the MLB.
I'm glad.
Let's move on. So let's go into our college football now. The college football is actually very interesting. We don't cover it probably enough because I must say we're not into it as much as we are the NFL. Right. It's kind of not one of our focuses, but it is now national championships.
Well, the national championship just happened on Monday. LSU won pretty easily after a slow start. They came back and won pretty easily. Joe Burrow will be the number 1 pick of Cincinnati. Fun guy, great quarterback. Obviously, put up unbelievable numbers. Broke every record there was this year. He's going to go to Cincinnati. I think he's going to be good for them there with a new head coach there. But he's just found through 5 touchdowns. It was just incredible what he was able to do, what the coach was able to do, what the receivers were able to do. So really, this is just congratulations to LSU. Great win after a slow start. And Joe Burrow, watch out. He's a Mahomes-level type player. He can throw on the run. He can throw deep. He's smart. And Cincinnati played a lot of tough games this year. I know their record doesn't show, but they lost a lot of close ones. He might be enough to get him kickstarted in the right direction next year. They should definitely be excited because he's a personality that, again, I think will go well with the city and with any NFL quarterback. I think it helps you to be out there and personable. He's definitely that kind of guy. So congratulations, LSU. Got the win there. And the coach is legendary. He had blood on his face, and they asked him why. He said, because I was getting my team fired up, and he's whacked himself in the head. So
you don't want to meet this guy in the street.
No. So congratulations on that big win.
Yeah, big win. I think the key here is the number 1 pick for Cincinnati. We saw what Murray did this year in Arizona. Although we didn't think that was going to happen, he certainly proved that he's a number 1 pick. It did excite that city, got them involved, won enough games to make people feel good about coming here. So I think this is great. Cincinnati needs it. They have not, even though they've had what essentially is one of the best skilled quarterbacks in the game, they have not been able to do anything.
Well, I mean, again, I always depends on what fans you're talking to. If you're talking to good fans of a good football team, they haven't done anything. If you talk to fans of Cleveland Browns, they've done a lot.
Yeah.
They didn't make the playoffs 7 years in a row.
Yeah, that's exactly
And the only
right.
reason why Marvin Lewis was fired is because for some reason, I don't know why he could not win a playoff game. It's baffling, some stigmas around coaches and players, kind of like an Alex Smith in a way, who's always underrated because he couldn't win a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, it depends on who you talk to. Andy Dalton, I think, had a good career. I think it could have been better with one simple run. He couldn't make it happen. It's the way it is. But they did have a good run there a couple years back. And Joe Burrow can help maybe get to that promise. Then you look at the division, Baltimore's going to be tough going forward. I think Cleveland's a mess right now. It'll be interesting. This has potential to be a great division. If Baltimore's there, Pittsburgh's already close. They just need a quarterback. And I don't know if Rosberg will be good next year or if they'll get someone young. You look at Cleveland. They have the talent. Can they figure it out? And then Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. A couple years down the road, what will they be?
Well, we won't get into it, but Cleveland is going to be better because they won't have this ridiculous schedule just because of all the player signings and people's expectations. They should have an easy schedule next year, second year. Well, not a second year. They haven't been in playoffs for probably 20 years. I can't remember. But they should get an easy schedule this year, which is going to help them. But anyway, let's stick with football and stick with the Browns. New head coach.
Yeah, the Browns, Craig Stefanski was the offensive coordinator for Minnesota. I don't really like this pick. I know people look at it because Kirk Cousins had his best year this year. He was second in line last year, only losing the job to Freddie Kitchens. I am baffled by the incompetence of Cleveland Browns to not go get a coach that is more of a veteran coach. I mean, this guy might be good. He might be.
Wasn't Tom McDaniels wanting to go there?
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah,
Josh McDaniels wanted to go there.
Okay,
I would have rather have had him. Honestly, I would have looked at someone like Mike McCarthy more, though, because, I mean, you're at a situation right now where it's not rookie players. What people keep on forgetting, besides Mayfield, Landry and Beckham are veterans.
Yeah.
They have a good defensive team. They have some other good tight ends. They have good running backs and Kareem Hunt. I would have liked to see a guy that can deal with the media that's been the head coach before. In a Mike McCarthy who dealt with Green Bay media, was the head coach to Aaron Rodgers. I feel like he would have been a better fit.
Well, you're right, because you need to take pressure off of the quarterback, answering all the questions, being the spokesperson for the team. This would have been better.
And no coordinators ever had to do a press conference. So I don't understand. I like these coordinators when they get a new quarterback or something, right? It's a bad team. You got to give them a chance at some point. That's how great coaches are made. I mean, everyone starts as a coordinator. But a team that you have all this on and all this pressure now because of these players, you needed a coach that was used to that. And he's never been a head coach. He's never done a press. I don't know. I think it's a wrong decision. I know they liked them last year. That's why they kind of wanted to go to them this year. They looked at the year that Minnesota had. I don't believe Minnesota's year was actually that great. I think it was disguised by the fact that Chicago and Detroit were so horrible in their division. In fact, Chicago still almost caught them. Yeah. I think that, the Rams were bad this year, so they lucked out by getting the 6th seed. Other than that, I don't think they were very good at all. And being the Saints again, they'd be.
So this is just another Cleveland decision.
I think it's another bad Cleveland decision. I think they're going to have another bad year. I don't think you're going to see Beckham last very long. He definitely will leave after his contract's up. Yeah. I don't know when that is. But early prediction, they don't make the playoffs next year.
No, I don't think there's anything that's going to change. There's a typical Cleveland move. I don't get it at all. But Joey, let's talk about maybe one of the things that players are going to start to do for their livelihood. Big retirement in Carolina.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly retired. Pretty shocking. I didn't hear much about it going into this year. I don't think people even normally hear rumors.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when Gronk retired. It was kind of, even though he was young, people said Gronk's probably going to retire because he was so young. And I mean, he had hinted at it. He had so many head injuries, so many back injuries.
That's what you can tell by what he did on the New Year's Eve show.
Yeah. Well, he was drunk all the time. When Megatron retired, we kind of knew that too. Luke Kuechly, I think it makes sense for him. You know, he has been injury plagued, although he had a great year this year. He never mentioned not playing football. I think the biggest thing, the reason why you're going to see young retirements, is they're making so much money.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of money. Guys are smarter these days. They get more help. There's less need to keep going in certain positions of football. But even the positions that are normally short careers, they're still making a ton of money, like running backs. And for him,
They're being overpaid way too soon.
He was a defensive end. Well, you know, in 8
Look
seasons,
at Andrew Luck, same thing.
Yeah, but in 8 seasons,
start to do this.
In 8 seasons, he was a 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. So he earned his money. There's just a lot of money in football, and I think it's within the cap, which is fine. But I think, you know, someone like him, he's a smart guy, great player, but injury plagued, looks the rest of his life with his family and goes, I think he made like $12 million a season. I mean, how do you not want to just go live a happy life? You look at Andrew Luck and his injuries, obviously made a ton of money, so he left. You know, I think everything comes down to injuries for these guys, and because there's so many doctors now, and rehab's so difficult, and you know, I just think they're getting smarter about it.
The game's just too tough.
But I will say this. I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. I think the ones that really love the game and are healthy will keep playing. I think the ones that have these injuries, it's smart to retire. I think it's you know, good for the NFL that these guys are retiring for a couple reasons. One is, you know, you don't want to see people die or have brain injuries. So, you know, I think they brought so much awareness. This is good. I think you get more young people in the game. I think it's a faster, younger, tougher sport because you get more replacements on a regular basis. I think that's not a bad thing. But I think they're saving their players. I think the players are saving themselves. And credit to him if he thinks this is the right decision. He says it was in his heart the right decision, even though mentally he thought he should still play. It's in his heart. He just knew it was time. I'm glad that these guys are making these decisions, and I hope they live a long life.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%. Even though they've made a lot of money, they walk away from a lot of money, too, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. Okay, listen, let's the breaking news today. McDaniel potentially staying in New England. What that's going to do to Brady's decision. What is that to Belichick? You actually brought to me a couple of days ago there was potential Belichick wasn't come back, which we've not heard until now.
Well, yeah, let's just kind of quickly, we've talked about it a lot. McDaniels didn't get any jobs, and all the jobs are really kind of closed. I don't think he's going to go to Jacksonville. It's probably the last one with a potential candidate to be head coach. There's rumors Belichick wants out. I think he'll want out if Brady and McDaniels stay. I think that'd make McDaniels the head coach. I think that would work well. I think that's smart. I think Brady still, in a way, wants out because he cleaned out his locker apparently like nothing before. He still sold his house. I think his wife wants him out if he's going to keep on playing. But I do think McDaniels, if anybody, could keep him in New England. I think it's whoever the owner goes with. I mean, honestly, I think it's as simple as Robert Kraft walking up to one of them and saying, I'm going with the other, and that's what's going to make the person stay or person leave.
And guess who he's back? Brady in the past. He got rid of Garoppolo when Brady asked for it.
I think he'll back Brady only because I think
he's iconic.
No, he
wants him to finish in New England.
But more than that, McDaniels being head coach is an easy fix.
Yeah.
That's another reason to do it. I mean, it's easy to say, okay, Belichick, you're gone, McDaniels head coach, Brady's my quarterback. Like, it's too easy compared to saying, I'm going to go with Belichick, McDaniels, and Brady are gone, and now where do we go from here?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. You mentioned also this morning, which I thought was even better than this, McDaniel to the Jets. Jets fire their coach. Brady follows him to New York. His wife is happy.
I kind of came up with this.
This is kind of cool.
Myself,
I like this.
I would like to see McDaniels go to New York. They fire Adam Gase. Brady go to the Jets. I don't care what happens to Sam Darnold as far as I'm concerned. Trade him, whatever, make him the backup. Brady in New York makes sense for him and his wife. Brady in New York makes sense because the team's actually pretty good. They had a 5-10 record, 6-10 record.
It'd be good for the young quarterback. We're getting him now sit on the bench behind Brady.
Darnold.
Yeah.
You have Le'Veon Bell there. You have a great defense there. A team that could have been potential play. In fact, people thought they might make the playoffs this year. So you had Brady to that mix and McDaniels as the head coach because I hate Adam Gase. I think that could work really well, and I think it'd work for his wife because his wife wants to be in New York or LA. So,
Yeah.
something to think about. And by the way,
good rumor would happen.
If you don't think Brady's revengeful, I think he'd like to play New England twice a year.
I agree 100%. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. Some quick ones in the NHL. We have not talked about the NHL at all, but a couple major things. Goalie for Boston, Rask, taking on to the game last night in the first period with potential concussions. This could change the whole division. Boston's been leading all season long. This could be a big, if this is long term with a concussion, this could be big. Simple elbow to the head in the crease, and goalies have got a ton of protection down here, but those masks are not fantastic. So there could be
I'm not
potential.
too worried.
He'll
He'll be fine. If he's out, they'll do okay. They'll be the top 3. Unfortunately, we might play Boston.
We only Boston, but it'll be interesting what happens. Talking about the greats like Brady, Crosby been injured. Comes back in his first game off injury, scores 4 points. The greats are just the greats. It's unbelievable.
And you know what? The time off probably helped him get even healthier in other parts of his body. Even though one is injured and healing, the rest is also healing. Good to see Pittsburgh looking really good.
And to be able to come out and do that just shows how fantastic he is. And one local for us, we always have to talk about the Maple Leafs. We're going to be able to start doing that now the NFL's over. And our key scorer has set a record for the Leafs.
Yeah, he's the first player in the Maple Leafs history to score 30-plus goals in his first 4 years of his career. In fact, you want to look at the fact he's never played a full season either. He actually played 80 his first year, 62, 48, and now he did it... or maybe that's just how many games took him to get 30. And then he's only played 40 games this year, has 30 goals. Had a hat trick last night, by the way, to get to 34 goals. He's obviously one of the best scorers in the game. The next Ovechkin, as far as I'm concerned. By the way, turning into a great leader as well.
Let's wrap it up with how dumb sports people are. So the New York Rangers put out a set of playing cards for the team. I'm going to read this a little bit, make sure here. And, so the Kings in the deck of cards, Joey, were hockey players. They're 2 hockey players. The Queens were the cheerleaders. Now, how do you think the world's good? How do people sit around in today's environment around a boardroom and say, yeah, let's include women as cheerleaders in our set of deck of cards? Anyway, this 7-year-old girl who took offense to this wrote a letter to the New York Rangers. Is now going viral what happened here about what stigmatism they put to the queens of the team when it could have been maybe women of the American Olympic team. The hockey players, women hockey players, or inject them into there that have been part of the New York scene, maybe come from New York, whatever. I have not been able to digest this whole thing. I just saw it before the show. I think it's amazing that we can still sit around a boardroom and make such stupid mistakes. Unbelievable.
Well, you talked about overreaction with the MLB fine. I think it's a little bit overreaction. I would have made it the wives, actually, of the players. I think if you were doing a New York team, you maybe have them as, couples, right? Like, so whoever you made on the Kings, you maybe make their wives the queens because they are the queen of their households. They help all these hockey players have
as long as the
careers,
Kings included their wives as well. I think it's a perfect example of today's day and age. And we have seen so many things, and it's usually outside of sports where we say, how does a boardroom full of people sit there and not think that this would be a problem, that the only value to the hockey team of women is to be cheerleaders? So anyway, I wanted to bring it up. I thought it was mostly because this 7-year-old girl took this to task, wrote her own letter, and has gotten this impact out of that. Let's go, guys. Come on. We know these things are not the way it should be done, and it's amazing it's still happening. So there you go. That's the show for this week, Joey. And we'll be back with a wrap-up of the NFL probably next Tuesday or Wednesday again, because there's going to be some things maybe happen after the NFL wraps up the final games in the Super Bowl. So we're back then. We'll look forward to being right in our selections. Can't be because you went on the opposite side of me, so I look forward to being right myself. We'll talk to you later.
Which